basically just be taking off little chunks, little pieces. Now for this reason, that's why you want to make sure that your line is pretty accurate. The last thing you want to do is realize that you cut an inch too far down, and as a result, you'll need to have a shallower guitar than originally anticipating. And so then the cool thing is with all these little tabs, I'll make some of these. You can kind of just because you're using the end grain to actually help you in this little process.
What if it breaks too far?
If you want to be careful, or if you want to make sure that it won't break too far, you can just cut the tabs. They're closer. There's all kinds of ways of doing this. Another thing you can do is take the fret and nippers, and you can actually cut it, or you can also take a coping saw and you can just cut it along. But the reason I don't like the coping saw method is because, first off, this scrap material that's coming off is not going to be useful. If you've got a long piece like this, you're not going to like use it for binding later on. It's junk. So rather than trying to do it in one fell swoop, I prefer to just trim it off in little pieces like this, because I'm using the actual grain direction to my advantage for this. So then, the one thing that's a bit of a nuisance is the actual toe block. We'll have to cut that down using probably a carpenter saw or a coping saw, or if you want to sand it, you could, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. So then what I'll do is I'll take my plane. You can use your finger planes too. The finger planes work quite nicely for this. But then we'll plane to that pencil mark. Now this is one of the reasons why it's nice to have a toe block and or toe heel block and a butt block that have the grain direction running parallel with the sides. Because if the grain direction is going up and down, every time you hit it, it would just make a big clunk, and then every time you get to the other end of it, you'd end up just like tearing off a chunk off the side, and it kind of ruins that. So what you can do, you can also just plane the whole thing. So I'll just stick the veneer here. Down nicely. The side is pretty close, and what I'll do, just so you guys can see the amount of effort that's required, take down the toe heel block. I'll just get rid of these lines. So again, because I know the direction of the grain on these sides is perpendicular to what I'm cutting, every time I just trim this off, it comes off nice and easy. And yeah, if you really want to use a coping saw, by all means use a coping saw. But it's a simple little method. So now I've got this big chunk. So you want, I think actually with both your toe heel blocks, we've cut them to the appropriate height. I just left this one tall. And so you won't even have to worry about this. James, yours is about a 1/4 inch higher. I think yours is exactly the same height as you want it to be. So you're gonna just not even have to worry about it. You'll just be sanding it. So, but here's one old-fashioned method that always works. Sometimes and so forth. I'll keep on cutting it.